Other strangers, believe me when I say, loving me is loving danger. Your heart is bound to break. I walk alone in the night, neath the pale moon, loving's for the fools. Baby, beware of my bite. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a running through the shadows and the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a
Hello guys, welcome to the show for the day. It's Friday, well actually it's Saturday for us, but Friday for some of you, Saturday for some of the others. Obviously guys, I am joined once again in the show, which you can't hear at the moment, for Satellite of Discontent. Say hello Satellite, they can hear you now.
Yay, hello.
Hello.
It's always good when they can hear me.
Well, you know, makes it more interesting, I suppose, doesn't it? Because it kind of makes me sound like I'm batshit crazy and talking to myself otherwise.
Actually, if that's what it does, then mute me. It'll just confirm you're crazy.
Okay. Hashtag crazy confirmed. Alright, my little ferret hasn't quite woken up yet. He's still calibrating. No?
It's gloomy. The weather's very gloomy, so, I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, the news isn't actually too bad this year, actually. Oh, today, actually. Yeah, the weather's actually... Well, not the weather, sorry. The news is actually quite decent. So, it's not going to be a long show, guys. It's actually going to be quite a good show, which is probably the best thing for my internet. Because, well, internet. But anyway, let's jump into it. Because I am expecting a Star Citizen update, and I'm just checking now because they always have a habit of going live right as I do. No, cool, I've still got time. So let's jump into the news. Let's get this over and done with. Knock another week out and knock another chuck on the board. Former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Kim Foxx faces up to 20 years in jail if convicted of corruption. Orange is the new black? What do you reckon?
Yes.
So, appearing Thursday evening on Fox News Channel, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo told host Laura Ingraham that Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx could serve up to 20 years in prison if convicted of corruption for handling of Jussie Smollett's case. Kim Foxx is under fire after all the charges were dropped against the Empire star in a connection to the alleged staging a hate crime against himself to boost his career. This week, Foxx's office backpedaled on the claim that the top prosecutor formally recused herself from the case after Tina Turchin, a former chief of staff and former First Lady Michelle Obama, pressured her to have Smollett investigation transferred from the Chicago Police Department to the FBI. So it makes you wonder why they wanted to transfer it to the FBI, doesn't it? Maybe they were more...
that's interesting.
Maybe the FBI was more in line with their ideas or their thoughts. Maybe there's still corruption there.
Of course, there's corruption. There's corruption in all parts of the government. The question is Smollett going to get the justice he deserves?
Well, no, I doubt it. He's Hollywood, but well, no, we'll just have to wait to see. But look, obviously, look at the end of the day. I like the fact that they are talking about this. I like the fact that they are going through and actually saying that, yes, you can actually go to jail for up to 20 years. Hello, DQ. I haven't seen you around. Are you new? You can obviously face up to 20 years in jail if convicted of corruption. I like the fact that they're talking about that. Because at the end of the day, that is exactly what I would like. I would like her to be investigated for this.
Mm-hmm. It would be nice to see the corruption and the swamp get drained around this one.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely need to drain the swamp. We should also talk about Trump and his... we should talk about Trump and his campaign and his his speech that he did yesterday. We should probably talk about that too, actually, to be honest. But anyway, let's keep going. So, just for people playing catch up at home, what I'm talking about, Trump did a campaign, or did a rally over in Michigan, I believe it was, and he made some very interesting comments. But we'll get to that in a sec. Apart from that, like I say, yeah, look, at the end of the day, obviously I like the fact that they are talking about this. I like the fact that they are saying, look, yeah, if she has been charged or she is found guilty of corruption, she could face up to 20 years in jail. And obviously that's going to be the worst case scenario. But, you know, at the end of the day, yeah. But anyway, of course, Rahm Emanuel, who is the Democratic mayor for Chicago, is blaming Trump for allegations for alleged Smollett crime. Chicago Democrat Mayor Rahm Emanuel blamed President Donald Trump Thursday for creating the toxic environment that caused actor Jussie Smollett to allegedly fake a hate crime. My recommendation is the president go to opening day basketball, sit on the sidelines and stay out of this, Emanuel said to reporters. Let me clear about something. The only reason Jussie Smollett thought he could take advantage of the hoax about the hate crime is because of the environment, the toxic environment that Donald Trump created, Emanuel continued. I think that's a complete load of shit. I think at the end of the day, if you're going to try and blame Trump for this toxic environment, I think you're way off base. For a start, identity politics... Well, no, alright, so they're talking about identity politics, right? He's circling around without actually mentioning the name of the beast, so to speak. But I was going to say, but at the end of the day, identity politics goes back all the way back to women wanting to vote. So my understanding is, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but women always had the way to vote. They always had the right to vote. What it was that the one household per vote rule, and the majority of the time that would be the males who then would go through and vote. But if the male was to die through mining accidents or railway accidents or whatever it may be, woman would resume the power of the household and then she would be able to vote. So this whole women wanting the vote, the right to vote, is a load of crap, because they always had the right to vote. What it was that it was a one vote per household rule. Now, if I'm right about that, and I'm pretty sure I am, that to me is also identity politics. And that goes all the way back. That goes all the way back. The part. Sorry, yeah.
It was one per household, but it had to be the landowner.
Yeah, the landowner. Yeah,
you had to own land.
Yeah. And women could own land back then. Sure, it was more common for men to do it. But the thing is that when you turn around and say, we want to give women the right to vote, it's not entirely accurate, is it?
Well, no, that's right, it's not.
Yeah, no.
And
they always did have the right to vote. It's just that the landowner was mostly male.
Yes, it's because they're the ones who were risking their lives to get a paycheck, so they bought the houses.
Yeah, and the women stayed home and looked after the kids, looked after the house, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Things were simpler back those days, and more, funny enough, more advantageous for society. But regardless, but what I was going to say was, yeah, so this whole identity politics, it goes back even to then. It even goes back to as far as women wanting the right to vote. That's identity politics, what they're saying there.
Correct.
That's long before Trump ran. That's long before Trump ran for election.
Oh yeah. It goes back generations.
Yeah.
But the interesting part of it is that blaming Trump for a cultural thing that has where actually it has nothing to do with Trump is wow.
Well, it does sort of. Trump is not the cause of the culture war. Trump is the symptom of the culture war. There's the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absurd, though. I'm just saying how it's absurd to blame him for this.
It is. Exactly, yes. And obviously, at the end of the day, and that's what I'm saying, is that they're turning around trying to blame Trump for this Smollett crime, right? And at the end of the day, it's... If you want to blame anybody for Jussie Smollett, blame the media that has been race baiting for the past 10 or 15 years. Blame the Democrats who have been running on a race policy for the past God knows how many generations. Like, at the end of the day, there is plenty of blame to go around. I really don't think Trump, like even before Trump, Obama, the Democrats ran Obama on the preference that he was going to be America's first black president. That's identity politics.
Yeah. And racial relations went downhill quickly with Obama.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. It's not Trump. That everybody goes on about Trump's rhetoric and stuff like that. Sure, it might be the most advantageous thing for society, and we'll get to some of his rhetoric in a moment because I find it quite funny. But at the end of the day, blaming Trump for Smollett, it's not really... No. What you want to blame is you want to blame identity politics. And identity politics was long before Trump even ran for president. So, yeah, I'm sorry, but he's just wrong on this. But that's my thought anyway. I don't know. What are thoughts, opinions on this?
Very wrong, yeah. The thing is that under Obama, the race relations went terrible. And I'd say that the Democrats in general have been attempting to just inflame race relations in the United States, probably all the way back after Jim Crow.
Yeah, well, this is the thing too. You got this African lawyer that went on about this girl that was supposedly raped by these white guys back in the day, and he made a name for himself. I'm trying to think of his name, but I can't remember it now. Someone in chat might be able to tell me. But this lawyer went on and made his name for him, and he's still is Al Sharpton maybe is still to this day a popular lawyer and for the Democrats, and a black lawyer, and his whole preference was about this attack that happened, and it ended up being that it was not true. It was complete load of crap, that no white guys actually raped her, that it was a completely fabricated story. But this is long before Trump ever ran. This is identity politics.
Yep.
It's like McGruff says in chat. It's like blaming white New Zealanders for the Christchurch shooting. It's you're lumping everybody in together because of a certain race, colour. It's identity politics. Yeah. So, I want to tweet at him later and say that he's full of shit and call him out for it. But anyway, I'm becoming more active on Twitter. I'm seeing if that helps advertise the channel a little bit. Rahm Emanuel blames Trump for Jussie Smollett controversy, creating toxic environment, tells him to sit on the sidelines, which we've already pretty much talked about. But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't know. I think he's way off base on this. I don't think he's close to the truth. But yeah,
very far from it. What he's done is set course for one star system, and he's basically ended up about 5 light years somewhere else.
Yeah, I've been trying to play Star Citizen all night, and I couldn't even get it out of the star system. It freaking kept crashing on me. But anyway, so apart from that, we do have some news on the Mueller Report as well. So obviously, guys, as for the Mueller Report, it will be released by mid-April, if not sooner. So we are going to get a redacted version of the report, but it will be the majority, I would like to say, I suppose. But Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report on the investigation into Russian election interference will be released publicly with some redactions by mid-April and possibly sooner, Attorney General William Barr said in a letter on Friday, in a letter to the head of the state and House Judiciary Committee. Senator Lindsey Graham and Republican Representative Gerald Nadia. Barr wrote that the Mueller's office was helping to determine what would be redacted in the report, which Barr said was nearly 400 pages. It would be released to Congress without the White House review in it first. Only process is such that I am anticipating that we'll be in a position to release the report by mid-April, if not sooner, Barr wrote. Although the president would like to have the right to assert privilege over certain parts of the report, he stated publicly that he intends to defer to me, and accordingly, there are no plans to submit the report to the White House for a privilege review. So it looks like Trump's going to get to read it when the rest of us get to read it, but it's 300 pages or 400 pages almost. So how many people?
Wow, that'll be a marathon.
Yeah. Guess what I'm going to do that night? Yay!
Oh no, I was just going to suggest maybe you could read it out and create an audiobook of it.
I don't think so. But I don't know. Oh, look, at the end of the day, I want to see the full report. And I presume, obviously, we're going to be able to skip parts like, like the boring stuff. But I don't know. Do you guys want me to talk about the full report? Or you're more than happy to... Yeah, I don't know. Let me defer my judgment. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.
Well, you could audiobook it just by reading it on stream. So that might work.
That's 400 pages. And I can't pronounce shit. But anyway, Cher hopes Robert Mueller will resign. Oof, the left are going after Robert Mueller pretty hard, eh? Left-wing pop star, and I'd like to say alt-left-wing pop star Cher proposed that Robert Mueller should resign in protest because the full special counsel's report has not been released yet. Robert Mueller is an American hero, Cher said. I pray he resigns in protest because of the way Trump's handling on his... What? My God, this girl's batshit crazy. Robert Mueller is an American hero, Chair said. I pray he resigns in protest because of the way Trump's handling on to his report by his grotesque teeth. Trump...
Okay, so it's like saying the guy up the street should resign because of the thing that the guy down the street did. What the hell?
It's not just that, but just the language that she's using. It's just like,
yes,
what are you going on about? Like, are you deranged?
Someone forgot to take. Yeah, I think she forgot to take her medication.
Yeah, can we please share some crazy pills to make her less, insane, please? Something to, get rid of that Trump derangement syndrome from her. That'd obviously be really, really good if we could do that. But look, of course, Robert Mueller has finished his report about the special counsel for the Department of Justice, so it's not clear on what resignation would even mean. Cher, like many Hollywood, have been taking to Mueller report quite hard, as the report concluded there was no collusion between Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. You know what it is? This is the case of...
taking reality hard.
Yeah, this is the case of, for example, we didn't get the result that we want, so we're going to try and get you to leave the job so maybe we can get someone else to come in and to lie. That's what it is, right? That's my interpretation of it. Is we didn't get the answer that we wanted, and therefore,
making sense.
It's like get him to resign, and maybe we can get someone else to come in and to do the job again. And that's what they want. They want to go through yet again, do another special counsel investigation, and hopefully this time they'll get the right answer. It's like Brexit.
Yes, exactly. I was going to suggest the same thing is happening with Brexit. It was like, oh, we don't like the result. Can we get someone to just... Oh, actually, the Mythbusters have a really good saying. I reject your reality and substitute it with my own.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's literally what the left is doing right about now. Is we don't like your report because it didn't give us the answer that we wanted, so we're going to reject your report and we're going to get someone else to go through and to give us the answer that we want. Like, fucking hell, it's crazy. It really is. It's not only crazy, but it's fucking dangerous. What if the Republicans start doing this shit? Say, for example, the Republicans were to go through, investigate Hillary. Like, say Comey, for example. Comey goes through, investigates Hillary, does a report, comes back clear, and legitimately clear. Not this, like, well, she did have an email server, but there was no real intention. That sort of bullshit. But like an actual real clear. And then the Republicans turn around and say, well, hang on. You should resign because you're a patriot. So that way we can get someone else to come through and to do it. And we can get someone else to redo the investigation again. And we can tie it up for another 2 years.
That's probably what they want. They want to have this cloud on him all the time so that they can get their ratings back.
Yeah, well, CNN's taken a dive in the ratings, and...
That's right. It's not just the ratings, obviously. It's also the fact that they want that on there because it was also oppressing Trump. He couldn't take the gloves off. There was a lot that he couldn't do and say while that investigation was there. It's interesting if I don't understand politics enough. I am not super trained or nothing, but there must be things that tied his one hand behind his back this whole time.
Yeah, I think there was
because of the investigation that one.
That's why I have a theory that it's so. And Trump has actually alluded to this. This is something that we're actually going to talk about in a sec. Trump has actually alluded to something along these lines. I think at the end of the day, the Mueller investigation was a way for the Democrats to control Trump. And I think now that he is free of Mueller's report, they have no control over him. The deep state no longer controls. So, for example, right? Say Syria, right? Trump wants to pull out of Syria. Deep state turns around and literally says, no, you're not. Right? Trump can turn around and say, yes, I am. I'm the president. I'm going to do it. And the deep state can then turn around and say, well, actually, we've got Mueller that's currently investigating you. And, it'd be a real bummer if some of the stuff regarding your previous dealings, not necessarily maybe with Russia, but like your finances or your tax return or something was to be leaked. Now, obviously, they can still go through and they can still do that. But that sort of, quid pro quo, Oh, you want to pull out of Syria? Well, sure. Let's just go through and we might just start kicking open these impeachment proceedings again. Maybe we can get the Democrats all fired up for impeachment again. And then all of a sudden Trump realizes, oh shit, they could probably actually get the Democrats to impeach me, or try to at least. And he backs off. Well, now they don't have that special counsel to go through and to do that. And I think at the end of the day, the reason why Mueller's probe lasted so long was because it was more about stalling because they were concerned they would have no control over Trump.
Yeah, but what do you think brought on the end of the Mueller report? Like, did he just run out of things to look at or something?
I think it was pressure. There was a
Pressure
lot of
to end it.
Yep, a lot of pressure from the Republicans to end this report, to end this investigation. It had been going for almost 3 years, which looks bad for Mueller. And I think at the end of the day, there was no way that he could keep it going indefinitely. He knew that. This was more of a stopgap to maybe they plan to have Trump out by now. Maybe they plan to have him gone by now.
True.
But they've sort of come to a grinding halt. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were going after, they were reaching, I think, too. Like, there are signs of them stretching what could be investigated or looked into, I suppose, because they even went after people from, what was it, that the friend of Alex Jones,
Roger Stone.
Roger Stone. Yeah, like they even, I mean, maybe the Roger Stone debacle was kind of like the last straw.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think at the end of the day, going after Roger Stone was them being desperate.
Well, that's right. I think the Roger Stone thing was a sign, maybe. And now that, you know, in hindsight, we can look at it and go, huh, like that was the last thing they did right before ending it. I suppose that showed the desperation, and they're just like, look, there's nothing here. We've impeached Stone. We've
Maybe,
looked into him. There's nothing here.
Maybe they were hoping that Stone would flip on Trump and he knew something that they didn't. And then maybe Stone didn't give it up if he did know anything, which I don't think he does. He didn't give it up and they just ran out of things to look into or something. But Sheriff's 50%.
Stone is, no pun intended, the guy's as hard as a rock. I don't think they would have gotten anything out of him.
No. And he's a Nixon supporter, so I doubt he would have flipped on Trump either way. Sheriff's 50% Botox. That's actually quite honest, actually. But look, I say, look at the end of the day, yeah, I think they just ran out of stuff to investigate. And Mueller was under pressure from not only Trump, but the Republicans, plus the Republican base. They couldn't keep it going for indefinite. So they knew they had to can it sooner or later. And by this stage, they were hoping, I think they were hoping to have the House and the Senate. They only got the House. They lost more seats in the Senate. And they're like, well, look, this plan's screwed. You're not going to... Even if Mueller made up some shit, even if Mueller turned around and said, yeah, this is corruption, blah, 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 what are they going to do? They're going to kick it to the House. The House will turn around and say, yep, we're impeaching Trump, right? Then it goes to the Senate. Fuck, you lost. The Senate. It's heavily controlled by the Republicans right now. It's like they actually increased their lead through the last election. So, you know, what's the game plan here? How are you planning on impeaching Trump when you don't own the House? You own the House, fine, but you don't own the Senate. You can't get impeachment through it, even if you wanted to. Like, what exactly would there be their game plan? That they've literally hit a dead end. It's to the point now where we literally have. Was it Nancy Pelosi turn around yesterday and say that, you know, Chuck Schumer and all these guys aren't going to be happy, but we're not going to be able to impeach Trump. It's time to give up on it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good succinct summary there.
But I don't know. I just reckon they ran out of things to go after him for, and yeah, they just had to give it all up. They just had to give up the impeachment talk because it just wasn't going to work. Now, obviously...
So, the Russia hoax.
Oh, yeah, you go.
No, that's fine. I was going to kick a video open, so you go.
Well, I think a good question now is, what is their plan B, and is it horrible, and should we all worry about it?
I think that they've got no plan B.
Oh, okay. That sounds terrible for them, and great for Trump and reality, but don't know, man. Don't underestimate. Okay, like for example, when a cat, right? A cat is scared. You corner it though, and it will just eventually just go screw it, and it will just jump at you and start pulling shreds out of you.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to give up with their culture war or anything like that. I think they have other plans. But as for Trump, I think they're just going to let him be for the moment. I think what they're planning, what they're planning on doing is they're more planning on bringing a whole bunch of migrants into the country, flooding them into the Republican area of Texas, turning Texas blue, and being able to control the electoral college. That's what I reckon their plan is. Flood the area with migrants.
Immigration, and the college. Well, look, that makes sense. That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, most people that are crossing across the border end up in Texas, and 80% of those people that end up in Texas vote Democrat. And all of a sudden, we got Texas, which was really, really red up until a few years ago, starting to look more like purple right about now. So you tell me the shifter.
Well, voter fraud is also getting a bit of a light on it. So that might help to prevent some of this immigration voting issue.
Well, build the wall will stop it too.
Yeah, I think he's gotten progress on the wall, right, recently.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get more progress now.
Well,
that Mueller report frees him a lot. So we might actually see a lot of the things that he wanted to do, like lock her up.
Well, actually, interesting you say about that, because he actually talked about this Mueller report in the video. Now, you won't be able to hear it, but the people that are playing along in the video, they will be able to. This is what Trump said regarding the witch hunt regarding Russia. So we'll play that for you now.
The Russia hoax proves more than ever that we need to finish exactly what we came here to do. Drain the swamp. The Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous bullshit. Partisan investigations, or whether they will apologize to the American people and join us to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure.
All right, so that's what Trump said. Now, if we focus back on what he first initially says,
proves more than ever that.
So he says that the Mueller investigation, or what he calls the witch hunt, proves more than ever that we need to, and everybody said, drain the swamp. That sounds to me like he's going to go after the deep state.
That makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense. If he's going to actually drain the swamp, that does kind of allude to draining, to getting impeachment processes on around the Clintons and all of the circle around that.
It wouldn't be impeachment. It'd be criminal charges, but yeah.
I'd love to see things spread out into like the surrounding, super wealthy, like Bill Gates and all them as well.
I don't know what's Bill Gates got to do with Clintons.
That's out of the scope of the show, I suppose. There's connections.
But
it's to do with things that the Clinton Foundation do, and then you have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Okay, yeah, but we can talk about that offline if you want and find out about that.
But I accidentally hit the deafen button by accident, so if I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. But what I was going to say was, but at the end of the day, obviously him saying going after the swamp, we're going to drain the swamp, that in itself is obviously very interesting. In fact, his whole speech, which I think went for about an hour and a half-ish, was actually, it was what I like to call, it was pre-President Trump. It was very much him campaigning. He seems to have his step back, and he seems to be a lot freer now to say things. Like, he literally said bullshit on, like he said, if the Democrats give up their bullshit lies. Like, he's literally swearing on a national tour sort of thing. So he seems to be a lot more carefree now than he was 6 months ago, 12 months ago. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Mueller investigation. And I like the fact that he called out the bullshit for what it is. That in
I'm
itself...
going to criticize that. He shouldn't speak like that. It's unbecoming of a president. Come on.
But this is the thing. We know Trump for being like that.
Well, yes, that's right. And I'm never going to let up on that. I think that his professionalism has always been quite lacking. I really wish that he was a bit more... I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a... what do you call it? An old...
An old fogey.
Yeah. Fussy something.
Look, at the end of the day, I like Trump for the way he is. I think the way that Trump carries on is the way Trump is. And at the end of the day, I think people like him for the way he is. So I think, no, look, I think at the end of the day, leave him be the way he is. Let him be upfront. Let him be honest. It's a refreshing change to have a politician who isn't going to sugarcoat, who isn't going to lie, who isn't going to backstab or anything like that, who will call you to your face and will call you full of shit, or will call you, you know, Mad Maxine, or you know, or Beta, or whatever it may be that he's going to do. So I like the fact that he's actually willing to do that.
There is a charm to it. There is a charm to it. I agree to that regard, yeah. I mean, sure, I laugh when he does something like that, and it's like, oh my god, it's so unprecedented-like. But I also look at it, well, yeah, but you might win a few more people to come onto the Trump train, because a lot of people would see, like, man, you can't have a guy like that as president. Jesus, like, it gives the left ammunition. I know that.
I don't know. Like I say, I think people like him for the way he is. I think the people that would support him as the way he is because of the way he is. So,
if I was in America, I'd still vote for him. So, you know,
like, he literally called the Democrats collusion delusions.
Yes, that was really funny.
Yeah. Like, there's actually a 10-minute video here where he actually goes through and actually, I might link it in the description below, where he actually goes through and actually, like, it's all the highlights from that. It's actually from Global News. And just, his speech was really good. It was pre-election Trump. It was Trump on the campaign trail going through.
Nice.
So, what do you think as Theroux identifying as a woman? Are you talking about Justin Theroux? Whatever his name is, the Canadian...
Oh, Justin Trudeau.
Trudeau, yeah. Are you talking about Trudeau as in the Canadian Prime Minister is now identifying as a woman?
No way. Google that. If that's true, oh my god, I'd have to mute. I'd laugh so hard. And it is Saturday, folks, so the child is home.
Yeah, it's
you
okay.
probably heard a bit of noise.
Yeah, we can. It's all good, man. I can't see anything about that at all. So if you have some link to that, man, like, let us know. But I can't see anything in that at all. Oh, he acts like one. Okay, yeah, well. Yes, well, I think he acts more like a cuck than a woman, but regardless. But anyway, we probably should keep going. Brexit. Want to talk about Brexit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Brexit May. MPs reject May's EU withdrawal agreements. Oh, just joking. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. I thought you were being serious there for a sec. I was going to say, Justin Trudeau, man, it wouldn't surprise me if he did. MPs have rejected Theresa May's EU withdrawal agreement the day the UK was due to leave the EU. The government lost by 344 votes to 286, a margin of 58. That means the UK has missed the EU deadline to delay Brexit to... the UK has missed an EU deadline to delay Brexit to the 22nd of May and leave with a deal. The Prime Minister said the UK would have to find an alternative way forward, which almost certainly involves holding European elections. Thousands of Leave supporters gathered outside Parliament to protest against the delay to Brexit, bringing traffic to a standstill. I think that might have actually been Tommy Robinson, actually, that was involved in that. Miss May now has until the 12th of April to seek a longer extension to negotiate process to avoid a no-deal Brexit on the date. With a clear majority in the Commons against a no-deal Brexit and with MPs holding more votes on alternative plans on Monday, Miss May said the UK would have to find an alternative way forward. The Prime Minister said the outcome was a matter of profound regret, adding that I fear we have reached the limits of this process in this House. Downing Street said it was still not an inevitability that the UK would have to take part in the elections to the European Parliament in May. Look, at the end of the day, I think I should just leave the European Union. Just flip the table, walk out. Fuck the deal. We're done. And just walk out. Just take control of your own country. Stuff the EU. Just say to them, look, we gave you plenty of opportunities. You weren't interested. So, too bad. We are now running our own country the way we want to. And just do it. What are they going to do? Stop you?
Yeah, they should do. That's exactly what they should do. And you know what else? I actually, I know you didn't bring it up, but it's about Brexit.
Yeah.
I was really pissed off when I heard yesterday, right, that there was literally politicians, a politician standing there saying that it would be a betrayal of, what was it, 6 million people on the petition or something, saying that, no, we need to remain. Are you kidding me? What about the 15 or 16 million who voted before? More than half the country want Brexit.
Yeah.
Like, that's the real betrayal is the people who actually voted in an actual democratic election. Or vote, whatever the hell they did. Plebiscite, whatever you want to call it. So, and the thing is...
Tommy Robinson... Sorry, just interrupt, guys.
What?
Tommy Robinson was actually at the demonstration. Yeah, keep going, sorry.
Yeah, he was. He was there at the demonstration. He actually shouted at them like the BBC, people don't trust you anymore. That was awesome. But you know, it just infuriates that someone would think that a fucking petition is in any way an actual democratic process. You know, mind the French, but damn, that pissed me off, man.
But yeah, but at the end of the day, he's only saying that because he's a Remainer. Whoever you're talking about, I don't know who you're talking about. But I presume the only reason why he's saying that because he doesn't want Brexit to go through. It's a case of, I'm going to use this to prove my point of view. Even if it's, you know, piss weak, it's sort of excuse, I'm still going to use it.
Well, yeah, you probably don't know of which politician it was, but you probably know of the petition that they did.
Yeah, I know of the petition. I think we've covered it.
That's right, yeah.
It's
just that there was a politician literally using it, like if it was a democratic vote, and I was just
Who was it? Who was the politician? Corbyn?
Oh, I don't know the name. It was the video, and he was standing there saying that.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't explode.
All right. But yeah, thousands of... I'm talking about obviously the demonstration. There's a photo of the protest there. Thousands of Leave supporters have protested at Westminster against the delay to Brexit on the day the UK had been due to leave the EU. That looks more like more than thousands, but sure, we'll keep going with your explanation, I suppose. The March to Leave, which began in Sandro 2 weeks ago, arrived in Parliament Square on Friday afternoon. A separate Make Brexit Happen rally organised by UKIP was also held. The rally was backed by English Defence League founder Tommy Robinson, who spoke to crowds along with UKIP leader Gerard Batten. Meanwhile, at the March to Leave protest, former UKIP leader Nigel Farage had Tory Brexiteer MP Mark Froskus deliver a speech. I know which one I would have rather gone to, but anyway. A crowd protested, a counter-protest by the group Stand Up to Racism took part in Westminster. although they don't mention how many people turned up to that. But anyway, some Brexiteer protesters continued to demonstrate into the evening, and lines of police were deployed to keep the crowds under control. The Metropolitan Police said 5 arrests had been made at the demonstrations, although that included one man who was wanted in connection with an offence elsewhere. 2 other people were arrested on suspicion of assault. I'm guessing which side of the politics they were on. And a suspicion of assaulting a police officer. Let me guess which side he was also on. Suspicion of being drunk and disorderly, which is probably just some guy that went to the pub and got pissed. But anyway.
So, yeah, who usually says F the police and who usually attacks people who are peacefully demonstrating?
Oh, can I buy an alt left for $200, please?
No worries, I'll give you that. I don't have any attractive women to go up to the board and turn the thing down. So.
It's just not worth it anymore then. But cabinet ministers tell May to embrace no deal after a 3rd Brexit defeat in Parliament. Cabinet ministers will attempt to take control of Brexit by telling Theresa May it's time to embrace no deal after her EU withdrawal agreement was rejected by the MPs for a 3rd time. Miss May will hold a conference call with ministers on Sunday night amidst calls for a cabinet vote on how to proceed. Senators, backbenchers said Prime Minister had reached the end of the road and she should now quit. But May stood firm and wants to put her deal to a parliamentary vote for a 4th time next week. Okay, we'll just keep voting until you get what you want, I suppose. But I don't know. Apart from that,
so democratic.
I don't know. I think this whole Brexit thing is just really. I was speaking to a few people over in the UK earlier today. They're playing Star Citizen, and their response is, "Can we just fucking have this now? Can we just get Brexit now? This is ridiculous. Everybody's getting fed up with it. It's just been the most drawn-out process you could possibly imagine." So,
I mean, British politics, I heard the other day, and this is actually kind of funny, I was laughing at this. British politics does have a reputation for taking forever to actually do things, although I would say that this Brexit one is probably going to break a record.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, yeah. I think just flip the table. Just walk out. Just say, we're leaving. We're leaving the EU. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to stop us. We're leaving. Bye. And just walk out and just leave.
Yeah, what would Jesus do? Flip the table.
Yeah. Grow a set and just walk out is all I would say. But anyway. Restricting gun sales cost Dick's $150 million last year. So remember when Dick's Sporting Goods said they were no longer going to sell firearms?
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were talking about a firearms thing, not actual Dick's. Okay.
Yeah. So Dick's Firearms, they said they were no longer going to sell semi-automatic weapons, and that because of I think it was the Vegas shooting. Apparently it's cost them $150 million in sales.
Oh yeah, get woke, go broke.
Yeah. America's biggest sporting retailer lost customers, but CEO Ed Stark said it was worth it. Get woke, go broke. Last February when
why is it that lefties always do that? They don't give a crap about the money. What is wrong with these people?
Because they're communists.
But that doesn't work when the country isn't communist. You just go broke and end up on the street. But
they're already, they're already training themselves to get into the mindset of not having anything. So. Yeah. That's my excuse. That's my theory, anyway. Last February, when Dick's Sporting Goods boss Ed Stark announced he was restricting gun sales at the country's largest sporting retailer, he knew it would be costly. At the time, Dick's was a major seller of firearms, guns, also drove the sale of soft goods, boots, hats, hijacks, jackets. What's more, Stark, the retailer's chief executive officer, suspected the position could drive off some of his customers on political principle. He was right. Dick's estimated the policy change cost the company about $150 million in loss of sales, an amount equivalent to 1.7% of annual turnover. Stark says it was worth it. The system
Wait,
does.
I thought okay, because I am just a little old one guy. $150 million sounds like a lot to me. I do forget that some of these companies, I mean, their turnover could be billions. Yeah. So 1.7%, that doesn't seem statistically relevant to a business, I guess.
No, well, it's still $150 million in lost sales.
Well, it's turnover, isn't it? It's not profit. Like, you have profit, loss, turnover.
That's in loss in sales.
Million.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's a loss in sales, and it might translate to only the profit margin, let's say their profit margin is 30%. So take 30% of 150 million, and that's probably what their actual lost revenue would be.
Yeah, you're talking about them not having to buy like merchandise and stuff like that.
Well, if they don't sell the guns, they don't have to buy more. I mean, it affects the turnover, sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, like, if you're just not moving the product, well, it's not that you lose $150 million in profit. You just lose $150 million in turnover. If your profit margin is 30%, that's only 30% of $150 million. It just
look, at the end of the day, they've had to go through and buy stock and stuff like that, obviously. But even, like, for example, 30% of $150 million, that's still, $45 million. So that's still a loss of $105 million. That's still quite a sizable amount of money to lose just because they're no longer selling. And like they say, it's not all because of guns. So, they've also lost people because of political principle.
Correct. That's it. I think a lot of it would just be not that people don't buy automatic guns very much. I'd say it's just people who boycott the company because of their stance. Yeah,
and also at the end of the day too, people go in to buy a semi-automatic rifle, and while they're there, they buy a hat and a bear cub to shoot at, whatever it may be. So it's not just the sale of the gun that's actually going to stop them from losing money. Like, look, at the end of the day, it is only 1.7% of their market share or their annual percentage revenue, but still, it's still $150 million. That's still $150 million that's going to their rival company. Like,
correct, yeah.
Would you like your rival company making an extra $150 million a year? Probably not.
No. I mean, if it's only 1 or 2%, I wouldn't feel like it was something to really worry about. But if the trend continues, I suppose that's the thing. Year in, year out, if the trend continues to go down by 1 or 2% every year, then I'd start to worry. I would worry about that. Also, I suppose news of the loss is going to spread the news of, oh, why is that? Or why are people doing that? Oh, I didn't know about that back then. And it will compound itself. So this could just be the first year of pain. It could turn into a tumor.
But still, at the end of the day, too, the stock market or the producers, the stock board, for example, they would not be happy with a 1.7% loss in annual revenue. No,
businesses are meant to grow. That's how investors make the money with the share price. Yeah, true. And then, okay. This is where the tumor could start to grow. The 1.7% loss could turn into investors being unhappy. That leads to investor trust going down, and that what leads to a stock price drop, which then costs them billions of dollars.
Also, at the end of the day, too, it could be the simple fact the board says, hey, you lost this 1.7% of our annual revenue because at the end of the day, because of your stupid politics, you're fired.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that might be extreme.
No, it tends to happen. If the board looks at this and says you lost this 1.7% of our annual revenue and they don't have a decent reason, he can be easily out the door.
Well, just for over just 1.7%? I didn't know that being a CEO was that cutthroat.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's $150 million the company has lost.
So the value of the money itself is actually that bad? I thought the percentage is more important than the amount, but if the amount is really that important, I'll stand corrected.
Because at the end of the day, $150 million, for example, that pays a lot of wages. That buys a lot of expansion. that buys a lot of stock. That buys a lot of stuff. And at the minute now, they have lost $150 million in lost sales. And that could be $150 million for how many years? People who won't go there to buy guns now, or whatever it may be they were buying, mightn't also buy their newest canoe, mightn't buy their newest hiking shoe. They might start going through and going to the next sporting goods store that does sell everything. And all of a sudden, they might have a good time and a good experience, and then they tell their friends, who then also go to the new sporting goods store. This is what businesses and boards are going to worry about. Yeah, this is what the board, like, at the end of the day, it's only 1.7%, yes. But the thing is that the board is going to look at this and say, okay, it's 1.7%, but it's $150 million. That's a lot of money.
You've got the projections that show year on year, and then you also have that growth. If it continues, it causes projections that look terrible. So you go down 1.7 per year. 150 million over 10 years is over $1 billion, and then you add another 1.7% per year. That adds to the projections of billions of dollars going down the drain.
It's not just that, but companies don't want to go backwards. Companies want to grow, to expand. Exactly. And because of a political principle, they've now lost 1.7%, which is $150 million. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money to... That's 3 or 4 stores. You know? That's another 2-store expansion, or a store expansion, or another 3-store expansion, whatever it may be. And that's what the board's going to look at. The board's going to look at this and say, yeah, it's only 1.7%, but that's $150 million. That is us going through, for example, just picking a spot, and saying building a new store in Texas. Or that's us going through and building 2 new stores over in Michigan, or wherever it may be. And then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so now we can't build those 2 stores. How much money are we going to lose by not having those 2 stores there? So that's what I say. It's not just that percentage per se. It's more the cost, that the money, because at the end of the day, that frees them up to do other options. And now they have a $150 million shortfall, which means they now have to find that money from somewhere. And normally the best way to do that is cut wages, cut pay, cut staff. All because of a political decision. You going to tell me the board's going to be happy about this?
No, I don't think that anything in the negative is happy. Yeah, no, there's going to be consequences, I guess. Yeah, no, you made a good case. I didn't really understand the ramifications of it on long term, but I mean, I get the numbers though. I can think of, like if you were to do this on a graph with a projection over 5 years, it looks terrible. Even 1.7% looks terrible.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, obviously that 1.7%, you know, they might be able to turn that around and, you know, only lose 1.3% next year. But at the end of the day, it's still a loss. That's still money they're losing because of his political principle. And he has to justify that to the board. And the board doesn't care about your political principle. Board cares about making money. And according to them, because of your political principle, you have just lost this company $150 million. And he can sit there and say, but it's only 1.7%, as much as he likes. They're not going to focus on that. They're going to focus on the $150 million lost in sales. And that they're going to be sitting there thinking, that's a fuck ton of cash. Why have we got you running this shop? Why are you running this when you're running into the ground? And that's what they're going to be thinking. And I really wouldn't want to be him at the moment. Because I tell you what, that ice that he would be skating over, it would be getting a lot thinner if he doesn't turn this around soon. The board is going to eat him alive over it. But, you know, we'll see what happens, I suppose. But that'd be my explanation of what would... Yeah. But... Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Let me know what your thoughts are, guys, in the comment section below. Retail apocalypse. So JC Penney, Payless, Wave, Lifeway announces 3,000 plus combined store closures. So more than 41,000 people have lost their jobs in the retail industry so far this year. 92% strike and layoffs since the same time last year, according to new reports. The layoffs continued to mount, with JC Penney announcing this week it'll be closing 18 stores in addition to 3 previously announced closures as a part of a standard annual review. Retail job cuts for January and February total 41,000, said research firm Challenger, Christian and Christmas in news survey, including nationwide retailers such as Payless and Charlotte Russe. This is a significant and marks an acceleration of the store closures and job cuts in the near term, said Mark Hamrick, a senior economic analysis and bank rate. Retail is ground zero for seeing the shifts of change in our lives. Lifeway Christian Bookstore announced last week that it would be closing the doors of all 170 bricks and mortar stores in pivot to focus on digital and e-commerce. So they're not closing because they're going bankrupt. They're closing because at the end of the day, they are not seeing people walk into the store. It is not profitable for them to go into these physical stores now when they can do it online and through e-commerce. So, you know, people are
the greater conversation is e-commerce and automation. That's what's killing it a lot.
Yeah, well, automation doesn't really do much for retail, for like bookstores and that, for like Christian bookstores and stuff. A lot of these books are going to be like second hand and everything.
Actually, Amazon has warehouses full of robots that do all of the picking.
That's
and
Amazon,
shipping.
though. That's Amazon, not a Christian bookstore.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I think like, I think the Christian bookstore
has a warehouse. They can do a lot of automation too. Even a Christian bookstore with a warehouse.
Well, yeah. But like I say, look, at the end of the day, I think this is obviously people are going to look at this and go, it's the economy, Trump's not doing so well. No, it's not that at all. It's the fact that at the end of the day, people aren't going into physical bookstores anymore. So they're going to run a warehouse and they're going to do it through e-commerce and online sales. So it is just...
Yeah. And I agree with you too. It's e-commerce and automation. It's both. Like it's, you know...
He's not going to let up on this animation thing, is he?
Animation? Automation.
Automation. It's late. I want to go to bed.
I am animated on this issue.
I'll animate you in a minute. Democrats dump POW MIA flags for transgender pride flags outside DC offices. Several Democrat members of Congress have replaced their POW MIA flags with transgender pride flags outside their Congress office on Capitol Hill. A group of Democrats, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and New York Representative Alexandria Cortez, have eliminated their military flags in exchange for pink and blue and white transgender pride flags to protest the military ban on trans soldiers, Fox News reports. I find this absolutely disgusting. Have you got a comment before I lose my shit over this?
No, you go first, please.
Okay. So, most of you know, if you've been a member of the channel for a little while, if you watch this, that my family is very, very military. We'll just say ex-military. We won't go into any more details. I don't want to go giving it away because it can be used to dox me, but just say I have some military experience. My brother's ex-military, my uncle's ex-military, my dad was almost conscripted into Vietnam. Luckily that didn't go through because he didn't want to go. My grandfather's ex-military, my grandma's ex-military, well they're dead now, but they were. I have a very big military family. Taking down the POWs and MIA flags. Okay, POW, for anybody that doesn't know, is prisoner of war, and MIA is missing in action. These are soldiers that are being captured, tortured, put in prisoner camps, missing in action because they were killed by foreign troops and just thrown in a ditch to be buried with time. So no real respect at all anyway. And these F-wits are now going through and taking down their flags because they want to use it as a political way of protesting the military ban. Have some fucking respect for the people that have died so that you can actually have the right to move that flag. Like, people have literally given up their lives so that you can have that freedom to take down that flag, and your way of repaying them is to dishonor the flag, take it down, probably dragged it over the ground while you're at it, probably haven't had much respect for the flag at all in the fucking first place, and then what? Replace it with some fucking transgender flag which haven't gone through half the shit that POWs and MIAs have had to go through. And you want me to fucking respect that? No, fuck that. That's a lot of crap. That's a lot of bullshit. And not only that, but it's also fucking disrespectful for every POW or MIA that has had to endure living hell so that you have those freedoms to protest. So, yeah, bullshit. Fucking load of crap. And I tell you what, I don't tend to get violent. I tend to believe that violence isn't the answer. But I tell you what, if I was you, I would fucking smack you in that head so fucking hard right now. In game. Because at the end of the day, fucking the lack of respect. People have fucking died. People have taken bullets. So you can have that right. Fuck that. Put the fucking flags back up, you stupid bitches. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, that was a very good speech. Bravo, man. Simplify.
Look, at the end of the day, well, my grandfather fucking fought in war. My grandma's fought in war. Then these fuckwits have no idea what they're fucking doing. They got no idea what it's like to go through that shit. You know? Fuck off.
These people justify their actions by putting the onus of the crime on the POWs themselves by saying that they are committing some kind of crime by going there in the first place, and that's just bullshit. You know, they are fighting. They're fighting for the right cause. They're fighting for our right to have a free country, etc. That's
Well, without all these POWs and MIAs that you've taken the flags down for all these people that you're disrespecting by removing their flag, if it wasn't for them, you'd be fucking speaking German right now. You know? Try fucking having your trans rights when you're fucking speaking German and you're part of the fucking Reich. Then come and bitch to me about your fucking trans rights. Like... Oh,
there's actual places they can go to feel the oppression. Unfortunately, they may not even survive the oppression because, I don't know, bouncing off the floor, it's usually quite deadly.
Yeah, why don't we take you over to a Muslim country where you can fly your flag as much as you want. We'll see how far you feel when you've been thrown off a freaking rooftop. You know? Oh, but no, we won't talk about that. We'll just talk about Trump banning the military. Let's talk about Trump. The reason Trump's banning trans people in the military is because 40-something% of them are fucking suicidal. Let's give a bunch of suicidal people a bunch of fucking firearms. Does not seem like a good idea. You have people that have mental issues. They have depression. Whatever it may be, right? Not all, hashtag not all. But like even Blair White, which is the most out there sort of happy trans person that I know in YouTube, has talked about depression. And you want Trump to put him in the military. We're going to be putting him in a high stress, high impact environment where they're going to get shot at. They're going to need people to go through and to back them up. They're going to need the people to back up themselves. And what? You're going to go through, not to mention the side effects of all this hormone replacement therapy. What? How long you're going to keep them out of the military because of operations and procedures? Like, but no, let's just talk about trans. Oh, Trump, he's homophobic. Fuckwits.
Yeah, one of the issues is that trans folks in the military, they cause problems for the actual squad. It's the same issue to do with anything. It's like the weakest link of the squad brings the whole squad down to that level of ability. It's a matter of life and death and success of the mission.
Yeah.
You're not at peak performance if you are trans.
No. For example, you're going to lose testosterone in your system, so you're not going to be able to be as bulky. You're going to lose muscle mass. Like, look, obviously, look, at the end of the day, trans people are still going to have more mass than a female, for example. But the fact of the matter is that if you were a guy and you go through and you become trans and trans woman, whatever the fuck, whatever way it is, then at the end of the day, you're going to lose muscle mass.
Yeah. One of the other things that occurs as well, that's actually something that can happen when things are not going quite well, is you're in the middle of a mission and you're stuck with nothing but you and a knife, or you and your fists. And it's going to take you days to get out of a situation with your squad. How are you going to operate when you can't just take a minute to take your pill and with a bit of water to keep your hormones right?
Well, it's not only that. It's like, for example, with these, obviously depending on the level of surgery too. Sometimes they're off duty rosters for months, even a year sometimes. So you're going to have what? You're going to have Trump going through and pay for this, or the military paying for these active service people that are all in sick leave because of their want to go and get their tits done or whatever it may be. Like, this is absolutely stupid. It is absolutely insane to sit there and say, oh, we can't have trans people in the military. How is... Oh, well, I suppose some trans people are scary. But I was going to say, you imagine a whole bunch of military men, well, what I would call men, or what other people might call, whatever it may be, running towards people saying, charge! Meanwhile, they got fake tits and they got facial hair. Like, I suppose that would be kind of scary, actually, to be honest, wouldn't it? But like, how scary is a bunch of, like, hey, welcome to our military. We're here to, because obviously a lot of the military is obviously going through, and it's more about perception. Here's our military. It's full of trans folks. By the way, 45% might want to kill themselves, or 40 whatever percent of them would want to kill themselves. Like that.
I suppose it might be helpful for people who want to run out into a battlefield to, bring back someone wounded if you're suicidal. Or I don't know, just strap a few grenades to yourself and run into it.
Well, the Japanese did that during World War II. They filled up their pilots full of LSD, I think it was, and made them, because they were so depressed with their lives that they would ram their planes into the opposition. But look, at the end of the day, I don't know. Look, I don't have a problem with trans folk. Okay, great. You do you. You probably could. You go do you, right? But at the end of the day, if you want to talk about being in the military, then I think women, trans, aliens, whatever it may be, everybody has to pass the same test. None of this bullshit where women have preferential treatment like they're doing at the moment. We all want to be equal. Okay, then why is it that you have to do less push-ups? Why is it that you have to do less sit-ups? Why is it that men have to do push-ups using their feet as anchors, like for the push-up Pete, but women can do push-ups on their knees? This is not equality, people. If you want fucking equality, then it's all of it. It's all of it or none of it. And I'm sorry, but putting trans people in the military where they want to, half of them or 40-something% want to top themselves, giving them a gun and then putting them in a situation where it's even more dangerous, more insane, and more likely to cause depression. Where we have problems already with the military guys coming back from active duty with already things like, like fucking PTSD and stuff like that. And already men coming back from military and women coming back from military and law employment already suffering from depression and stuff like that. And you want to go... Yeah, you want to go adding people that already have a 40-something% on top of that chance. Like, they're already starting at a 40% rate for killing themselves, and now you want to go throwing them in a situation where it's even going to make that percentage even higher. You obviously don't... They don't obviously care about... They don't obviously care about trans folk, obviously. What were you going to say, sorry?
Oh, I was just saying, listen to some Australian folk songs after World War II.
Yeah.
If you want to know how bad PTSD can be, because there were some musicians who came back that made some rather sobering songs. One of them, you know, has something about it. Why is it every time I dive when I hear the Channel 9 chopper or something like that? It was that song.
My grandfather... Like I've said, my grandfather was in World War II. Speak about his ordeal that he went through in World War II. Now, we only found out most of his war record after he died, because we obviously wanted to go through and get his record up to date and find out a little bit about him and that, because he wouldn't talk about it when he was alive. Ended up being the guy was a freaking World War hero, but regardless. But I was going to say, but at the end of the day, here's a man who literally was 87, would still go out and milk cows and everything, and owned a farm for like 14 hours a day, put 14 hours a day on a dozer the day before he died in the heart attack in the kitchen. Literally the day he died, had a heart attack, and refused to call the police and the ambulance because, quote, I'll walk it off.
Oh, God.
This is my grandfather. This is my pig-headed, stubborn, arrogant, dumb grandfather who probably would still be alive if he fucking actually had called the ambulance. But anyway, but here he is. This is the character of the man, right? 87, 14 hours a day is the dose of the day before. Says he's going to walk off a heart attack. But yet, when it comes to the World War II, wouldn't freaking mention it because it was that traumatic. You tell me, what does that tell you how bad of experience going to war was? This is the character of a man who's going to walk off a heart attack, supposedly, but won't talk about World War II. But hey, don't worry, we're going to stick a whole bunch of trans folks in here, and we're going to see what they carry on like. Jeez, I wonder how that's going to work out.
Yeah, strong men. It's strong men. Hard times make strong men. Like my stepfather, he had a heart attack after doing a bunch of yard work that day, and my mother just really wanted to bring an ambulance because he's sweating and looks a bit pale, and he's like, "There's so much pain in my chest." And he's just like, no. He just wanted to sit down, rest it off for a while. I'll just have something to eat, or something to drink, or watch some TV, and then I'll be all right. It's like, okay, if we actually listened to him, he probably would have died. It's hard times because he came from Argentina where, you know, there was a lot of instability when he was growing up. His brother was killed in front of him, you know, by cops and stuff, and just hard times, man. And that's just... It puts a perspective in your head that it's like, I don't need any attention. I'll be right, mate. You know?
Yeah.
And, it's amazing to see that kind of thing. I feel like, I don't know, I think a lot of these people that do these horrible things, like this flag event, they really need to wake up.
Yeah, I don't think they have any idea what people have gone through for them to have that right. And I don't think they care. I really don't think they care about people who have suffered or have gone through ordeals or whatever it may be because of, you know, previous wars and stuff like that. People have died, people have suffered for you to have that right to freaking protest. And your way of doing it is to remove the frigging flags of the people that have protested and suffered and sorry, not protest, who have suffered and have gone through atrocities, and you're taking down their flag to put up a trans flag. You want to talk to me about suffering and privilege? Like,
yeah. The stories my grandmother told me from, she was well into the mid-90s in her age.
Yeah.
Like 92 or 93, she died at that age. The stories I've heard from what it was like to be around people today, my God, they have no idea.
No.
My goodness.
Yeah. Anyway,
hardship. Oh, mate, hardship is a real thing.
We should probably get on.
People need to experience it.
We should probably get on to the next thing. Democrats block bill to protect babies who survive abortion from infanticide for the 22nd time. How do you feel? Are you okay? Do you need a minute?
No, keep going.
Alright.
Jeez.
So, Republican Rep. Lance Golden of Texas asked for unanimous consent Wednesday for the House to consider a vote on the Born Alive legislation that would protect babies who survive abortion. So, for the 22nd time, the House Democrats rejected a vote on the H.R. 962, a bill that would require an infant who is born alive following an attempt abortion to receive the same form of prompt transfer to a hospital and medical attention that many other children would be given. House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, a Republican from Louisiana, and Representative Ann Wagner of Missouri introduced the bill on February 6, and Scalia intended to file a discharge petition that may have signed by other House members when it became active on the 2nd of April. If no action is taken by the Democrat leaders, when a majority member signs onto the discharge petition, it will force a vote on the Born Alive legislation. But this is the 24th time in total that Congress Democrats have thwarted an attempt of Republicans to vote on a bill that would prove medical care and treatment for babies who provide survived failed abortions.
Yeah, I think that maybe that should be a thing. Born Alive, I would support it.
Yeah.
Can I take this story as a rebound to talk about something regarding abortion?
Sure.
So I watched Mueller Report, and he had a lady on called Lila Rose.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend watching it. And my take is I actually feel like she's right. She's been campaigning abortion her whole life, like against abortion, like pro-life, and her arguments are quite sound. And one of the things that does also concern me is that when they're doing these abortions, there's clear indications apparently that these babies feel the pain, and they actually try to run away from the source of the pain. So when they get a leg ripped off by the suction machine, they actually react. These sort of things. And what constitutes a life? Well, as soon as the brain activity kicks in, and apparently that's within like 26 days or something, like 3-4 weeks or something.
Yeah, after the first 3 months.
Well, no, she actually pointed out that there's a heartbeat. Well, the heartbeat kicks in after 1 month. Yeah, and the babies can even react even at that age to the abortion procedure, which is quite.
As far as I know, and I've seen Stephen Crowder talk about this. Stephen Crowder has said, and he is anti-abortion, so I would say his information is probably accurate. That at the end of the day, the brain doesn't actually function until after the first 3 months.
No, you're right. You're right. I know that. I understand that. Although the brain activity for actual thinking, yeah, there is some indication of a very lizard brain reaction though. Like for example, can it feel pain? And it seems that even after 20 to 30 days, there's a possibility that there's enough nervous system and brain there. It seems that these little tiny fetuses will actually somewhat react to the abortion procedure occurring. And maybe research should be put into that. That's what Lila Rose was mentioning. She was on a level that I'm not. Although I pretty much understand that she was pretty much saying that the abortion, even at the point where the mother might not even know she's pregnant yet, is possibly already bad.
Oh, I don't think abortion in any sense is good. I think at the end of the day, I can.
That she was bringing.
Look, I can support people that that, for example, that were raped or whatever it may be. I get that. Yeah, sexual assault, whatever it may be, then I can support that. Of course. But that sort of stuff, you tend to know about it within the first 3 months. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they usually give a rape victim the morning after pill anyway, just as a precaution.
Exactly.
Although Lila Rose was also saying the same thing you just did. No, abortions will not be taken away from victims, obviously. And then, I think Ruben was like, yeah, it's what the pro-abortionists always go, oh, you take away that, I guess. That's such a straw man argument.
Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going, because I want to get to bed soon. Yeah. Rashid Tlaib on Obama meeting, he told me, I'm proud of you. Okie dokie. Isn't this the representative that was been in trouble with her anti-Semitic comments?
I think so. Rashida Tlaib?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think so, yeah.
She revealed on Thursday that former President Barack Obama said he was proud of her during a meeting this week with House Democrat freshmen in Washington, D.C. President Obama met with us and new members of Congress, and it was a thoughtful discussion. The best part when he looked straight at me and said, I'm proud of you, Tlaib wrote on Instagram, sharing a photo of her posing with the former president. The Michigan Democrat, who is the first Palestinian American, actually served to Congress, has quickly established herself as one of the divisive lawmakers in Washington. Hours after being sworn in, Tlaib spoke before a reception held by the progressive MoveOn.org, in which she vowed to impeach the motherfucker something or other. And reference to President Trump, she also pushed several anti-Semitic tropes, accusing pro-Israel lawmakers of forgetting which country they represent. But Barack Obama's proud of her. Why is Barack Obama proud of her was what I want to know. Is he proud of her because of that?
I'm not sure. Probably. I don't know. Obama wasn't very pro-American, right?
True. There's also rumors he was like a secret Muslim and all that sort of stuff, that conspiracy theory. Maybe he supported, he definitely supported Muslim countries more than Israel and stuff like that. So, maybe it's because of ideology, maybe? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Last story for the day, and then we're going to wrap it up. 42 years, two Florida men were imprisoned for murder. Now they're free after the state tosses the case. So, Clifford Williams Jr. was 34, and his nephew, Herbert Nathan Myers, was 18 back in May 1976. They were at a party in Jacksonville, Florida, when two women were shot in a nearby apartment. one of them fatally. The men quickly arrested, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison. On Thursday, the state threw out their convictions and set them free. Williams and Myers shook hands and shared a long hug before emotionally joining family members gathering in the courtroom. Affiliate WFOX reported Myers kissed the ground outside. I'm nervous because I feel like I'm still locked up, he said. Once I get with my family and I know I can look back, and the reality hits in, I think I'll be all right. Lawsuit,
Well,
anybody?
Possibly. I don't know. There's plenty of stories of people who were convicted very quickly, I suppose. But it's not that unusual over the last few years because of the advancements in forensics. That's the one. They can go back through old evidence and find, oh, he was innocent. So, you know, I don't know if you can sue for that because they didn't have the tools in the past to know that he was innocent. So I think the best thing is just move on, get on with his life then.
Oh, I don't know, man. 42 years.
Yeah, it's just
they're taking his life away.
I know that. But I've watched some of these like documentaries about this sort of thing, and they don't have much of an ability to sue, because if you go into the forensics they had 40 years ago, then they did do their job correctly. So there's no one to blame except for the advancements of forensics, and you can't really blame science, you know.
Well, we'll find out sooner or later whether they're planning on suing. I tell you. There was no defense witness or evidence. The women who survived the shooting told police that Williams and Myers emptied their guns from the foot of the bed she shared with the murdered woman. So lesbians? I don't know. But evidence shows the shots were all fired outside from the same gun. Still, Williams and Myers were convicted of murder and attempted murder in a two-day trial. This seems like it was a kangaroo court.
Seems so. So wait, so that's evidence I haven't heard yet. So she says they fired from the end of the bed.
Yep.
But the evidence shows that the firing was from outside.
Mm-hmm.
Well then. See, forensics 40 years ago could accurately tell where a gun was being fired from.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to do those string things where you can draw the angle of the bullets and they draw the strings and you can see stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, I would say that this is going to be a very costly lawsuit.
Wow. Well, if he sues.
I sure as shit would.
Yeah, true.
42 years, man. 42 years in jail for a crime you didn't commit. Holy shit, I would take him to town. I don't know. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. On any of the stories that we've been talking about today, we're probably going to wrap it up here because we have been going for an hour and 40 minutes. And I still don't have my Star Citizen patch, but I do need to find out if I have tonight off work, so I need to go and talk to my boss.
Well, it's probably a good thing, because if that update was pushed, you'd start downloading it while live, right?
No, of course not. No.
Oh, the updater is not automatic?
No.
Oh, okay.
I have to click the button, and I wouldn't do it until the show's over. But anyway. But yeah, I don't know, guys. Look, at the end of the day, obviously, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, obviously, please smack that like button. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Also, if you're bored over the weekend and you want further content to check out, Satellite has a gaming channel. I have a gaming channel. Sometimes we play together, depending on what games we're playing. If not, we're normally hanging around in Discord talking shit.
yes, arguing about stuff. And Empyrean is something we're playing together. Otherwise, he's playing Star Citizen, and I have the brand new game just released a day or two ago, Satisfactory. And yeah, check it out. Satisfactory is pretty damn awesome. I'm loving it. So
I just want to correct the record. I'm attempting to play Star Citizen.
Well, yeah, he's attempting to play. Although you're going to bed anyway in a moment, right?
Yeah.
One quick question.
Sure.
When I opened Star Citizen, went back through the DMs, logged into the Star Citizen account that you let me use, and I didn't have to update it; it was already there. But I haven't run the launcher for that game in weeks. How did that happen?
Because
is it like a background service?
Sure. So the PTU that I'm currently playing on, it's a different server. It's a different launcher. And you have to be given access to it through testing phase. I'm Wave 1 tester, which is like the second best test group, which is running off different servers. So you would have the 3.4.3 patch.
Yes, 3.4.3.
I'm actually on the 3.5.0 patch, which is the next one.
So my launcher... Okay, so my launcher hasn't actually received an update in weeks. Okay, okay, now I understand.
Because that's Because, and if, like, for example, if I launched just the PU, I would then launch into 3.4.3. So I actually just thought, okay, I guess there's like a... Because I've used launchers that are just for this one game, like in the past, when I had, for example, Global Agenda, and even if the launcher was closed, there was a service that would check for updates once a day, and it would download in the background. And I thought that's what this was doing, but no worries. No, you have to click on the button. The 3.5 is supposed to go to PU, which is what you have access to, which is that account. That is supposed to have happened this weekend, but at the moment Star Citizen is very still buggy because of the sheer amount of content they've added.
Nice.
Yeah, like
more content is good either way.
Yeah, well, we were talking. I was in the Star Citizen Discord earlier before jumping into this one, and because I normally hang out there like in the mornings, and we were talking about it, and I was saying then that, and the guys basically agreed. This 3.5 patch that we have now is more like an expansion than an add-on. Like, we've got new locations, we got a new planet, 2 new moons, we got female customization, we got DNA face customization, we got females, we got new mission givers, we got more ships and everything like that. Like, they've even gone through and optimized the old areas, like Port Al-Azhar, that spaceport thing that you spawn in on it. I was playing on that, like, because obviously you respawn on there if you don't change your location. And I copied my account to the PTU earlier today, so I spawned back there, and I was getting almost 80 frames on the PTU at Port Al-Azhar.
Woohoo!
Yeah, like I've only got
the FPS was shocking when I played it, and that's me saying that, like, holy crap.
Yeah, I think when I was playing it with you, we were getting around 30 or 40, I think it was.
Yeah, I was trying to use 1440p resolution, and it was still like 40, 50 FPS.
Yeah.
Although what I noticed was that it was CPU bottlenecking, it wasn't the 1080 Ti, it was like 40% on the 1080 Ti. But my CPU was getting, destroyed. And I'm just thinking, geez, that is optimization, because they're not Z-culling the models correctly, or they're just, it's rendering everything, not just what you see. Yeah. And that is going to cause huge problems. But I will say this. These guys are on the bleeding edge all the time, and I'm very impressed with all the things you tell me. And I'm like, okay, if these guys move to DirectX 12, they will be able to use multi-threaded rendering, and that will throw the FPS through the roof. You'd probably be able to play 4K.
Well, funny you should mention that, because we actually had a reverse the verse this morning, which is the videos they do once a week. and they did 2 videos a week, but this is the reverse the verse video. And they actually had a sit down and chat for about an hour with Chris Roberts himself, the game designer and director or CEO of Cloud Imperium Games, and he was talking about the future of Star Citizen. They were talking about voxel. They were importing voxel into their game, and he was talking about the with the new voxel system. They would be able to do multi-threading on their processors. At the moment, they're saying that if they've got, for example, like rendering, like lighting, for example, lighting modeling, all this sort of, physics and all that. At the moment, it spaces over all the cores. But what this new system will be doing is it'll be using all the cores to actually get all the processes done, but it's going to do them in series, not in parallel. So for example, if you've got like a 4-core server, it will actually go through and use all the 4 cores to actually do the lighting. Then it'll use all the 4 cores to go through and to do the models. Then it'll use all the 4 cores to go through and to do the sound or whatever it may be. But yeah, I don't know. I want to sort of, I'm waiting for the video to go live because I want to extract that part. I want to throw it to you and see what you have to say about it, and I might make a video on Gamers Cafe about it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it sounds like DirectX 12. And one of the tricks for multi-threaded rendering is that you just give one thread the lights, another thread the trees, another thread the textures. That's old school, old hat stuff. It doesn't work anywhere near as good as it should because at the end of the day, one of these things is going to be heavier than the rest at different times and you're still going to get frame drops. But if you're doing it in serial and you're doing each task one at a time, but obviously like the lights probably takes 1 millisecond, then you have the models taking 3 milliseconds. At the end of it, you got like say a 9 millisecond to render a frame, multi-threaded. That's going to give you about 120 frames per second. So 16.7 milliseconds is 60 FPS. That's frame times I'm talking about.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what he was saying, is that they're going to use the multi-cores to actually complete the processes, but they're going to complete them in serial instead of having a CPU or a core not being used at 100% because it might be waiting for, like you're saying, like lighting or something to catch up.
They'll need to use DirectX 12 for this, but that's also fantastic. Because when you talk about other things too, like particle effects, certain lighting effects, all these different things, DirectX 12, a lot of people were just not excited about DirectX 12 when it was announced and all the things that it can do. People just really didn't seem to care. There's not much fanfare around it, which is kind of dismaying because I understand what DirectX 12 can bring us. And it can bring us incredible things. It didn't really bring us graphical fidelity improvements. I think that's why a lot of people are like, meh. No, it brings us improvements in incredible areas that we've needed it for years. Well, and multi-threaded rendering is just one of those amazing things.
One of the biggest problems they're having at the moment, and we're going to sort of stop talking about this soon because I want to do a separate video on it and upload it to Gamers Cafe. He was saying that the biggest problem they're having at the moment is the servers are actually running at 5 frames, 10 frames, whatever it is a second, and that's actually causing problems because they don't have object container streaming server side fully implemented. So the clients are actually running at a faster rate than what the servers can provide, which is actually what's causing some disconnections and stuff like that. But like I said, the whole thing I thought was very interesting, but like I said, some of it still went over my head, and I wanted to get you into chat and Discord and sort of, we could play the clip and have a listen to what he's talking about, and you can break it all down and we can upload it to Gamers Cafe and post it on the those guys will obviously like talking about
that. What I'd like to see is when you combine object container streaming with a really good physics engine and a really good rendering engine, I'd like to see something like, for example, a 8-core, 16-thread CPU being actually heavily utilized across the whole lot with multi-threaded physics and multi-threaded rendering. So like what you're saying, you know, they have the lights and everything being that's the rendering multi-threading. But I want to see multi-threaded physics too, and it'd be amazing to see something like maybe even something crazy like a Ryzen Threadripper just consuming like 500 watts, playing a huge, awesome simulation game like WoW and VR or something like. In 20 years, man, I just want to see something so amazing and epic and crazy that it just blows my mind.
Well, he's also
he
also got talking about like object container streaming for servers, but he also got into talking about things like, for example, server meshing and stuff like that too. And I think you'll find the whole conversation interesting because it was very geeky. It was typical Chris Roberts. It's very geeky. He's a big geek at heart. But yeah, but we'll do it over the weekend sometime, and I'll try and take that portion out because there are other things where people are asking him questions about what's up with the turtles and stuff like that, and yeah. But anyway, all right, guys, we're going to leave it there for the night because I am going to crawl into bed and see if I've got tonight off because my ankle's still swollen. Yeah, if I look at it, it looks a little puffy. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But apart from that, guys, obviously the video has been helpful. Please smack a like if you're new to the channel. Welcome and subscribe. Obviously, like I say, also links in the description for his gaming channel, for my gaming channel. Sometimes we play together, depending on if Imperium is going to be up and running and not stuffing around with backdating and whatnot. I saw that update today on this on their client to turn around and say, "Hey, we've wound it back to the previous version," or whatever it was. So yeah. But anyway. Apart from that, guys, obviously, have a great night, enjoy, and we will see you on Monday night, your time, or Tuesday morning, our time. Have a great night. Enjoy, everybody.
Good night.